Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're back for more Talk and Teaspoons. Thank you all so much for all the positive messages that you sent us on the previous episode. We had a good time, right?
It's a vibe.
It was a pretty good vibe. We talked about a bunch of very random things, and
As we do.
As we do, and they were super enjoyable and entertaining, to say the least. Speaking of which, let's start this episode by mentioning that we would love for you all to send us questions.
Yes,
please. We have a Linktree link that takes you to a very simple audio submission, like a voicemail. You can
It's super cool.
Yeah, you can leave us voicemails, and you can also send like anonymous text messages if you want. And that's cool because if you all had any questions or any topics you wanted us to speak on or talk about in a future episode, we'd be able to knock that out.
Hit us on the main line, child. On the main line.
On the main line, child. But yeah, so I'm just saying that at the beginning of this episode so that you all don't forget. Also, you know that these episodes are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that stuff.
Wherever you get your local podcast, it's available.
Yeah. And if you want to rate and review us, that would be nice.
Duh.
We appreciate it.
We love a rate. We love a review.
We do. We love all these things.
If you like the vibes, you could leave a little review for the girls, For the
girls. So with that being said,
hey, welcome back.
Welcome back. What's good? We're here. We're hanging out. We enjoyed all of the responses that we got from the previous episode. There was a lot of really nice things said, and also like a bunch of really weird things.
Triggered
people, depending on the clips that we posted.
Child, God forbid a woman has standards and then stands on business. God forbid.
Anytime.
And don't let it be a black woman. Child.
Yeah, don't let it be a black. Don't let it be. Yeah.
Some guy said you're pushing stereotypes to the community. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. You sound so fucking dumb. Shut up. I'm not pushing any stereotype. If anything, the fact that you fucking sitting here arguing with yourself in my comments.
Well, yeah, let's talk about it. So, because the thing is, it's missing context. That's what I would say. I would say, if you all follow us, I think I used one of those like AI generated clip websites, and it just picked pieces that it thought were, I guess, well discussed or distributed. And one of the clips was just Pilar talking about her thoughts on, dating and relationships. And it was very vague. It didn't say anything in particular, nor did it target any one group. She just said that, grown women appreciate like grown men who actually take the dating perspective seriously. And as someone who
spoke from my own experience
from her own experience, absolutely. And speaking of someone who was a part of that experience, he was
there. It's crazy.
I was a part of it, and
it's crazy because you were sitting next to me when I said that shit too. That was crazy.
That was the wild part because I'm sitting next to you, but for some reason. It's like I just vanished off the screen and turned into an invisible person, Casper the Friendly Ghost ass boy, because the comments were talking to her as if I wasn't just sitting next to her, who's her husband. But, I think what it is, though? They probably indulge in a lot of podcasts that usually it's just two objective sides talking to each other.
Sure.
So we look like two objective sides, and it's not that we're actually on the same team.
What tickles me is let's see where she is in 20 years. Fuck you. Let's see where you're at. The fuck? Fuck?
Definitely.
Still in my comments, bitch?
You're so funny. You're so funny because you're
so fucking dumb.
It is dumb. Your snapbacks are funny because I'm looking at obviously those comments as obviously they're rude, but at the same time I say, put on your glasses. I'm not a therapist at all, but put on the thinking cap of, and what makes you say that? Like the thought, and obviously I would say the thought is, oh, well, this is like a hurt little boy or man child.
You're also a man. You're not a woman, so you have a different perspective. This isn't something that you're like berated with your entire life.
No, absolutely.
And it's like, oh,
yeah.
like, oh, you're going to end up alone. Oh, if you don't have a man. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Like, stop policing. Women should do this and they should be. And oh my God, you're less of a woman if you don't end up like the inference that being alone, right? As if one, it's not a fucking choice, but being alone is just, oh God, she's gonna be so lonely, and she's not. And she's not. You know what she gonna have? Peace, tranquility, coins. Nobody fucking up her taxes or her motherfucking credit. Okay, listen, I'm not saying my grandmama did it the best way, but I really understand why that lady don't want to be with nobody. I used to give her so much shit. Like, grandma, really? I get it. Like, girl, that's how you want to spend your last years, baby. And she's like, I have peace. I bet you do.
Mm-hmm.
I bet. And you know, I've seen some interviews of older women who are like in their 80s in New York or their 90s, and they're like, oh, you know, like, what's the key to a long, happy life? Don't be with men. Men will drain your life. And I'm not saying all men are bad. Obviously, if you take it that way, go see a therapist. And I don't give a fuck. But
no, but the wrong one for sure.
Yeah.
Or the wrong woman. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. But it's just like, yo, like if someone wants to be by themselves, that's beautiful. There is like a sacredness in being with yourself and being fulfilled in yourself that I think a lot of people in this world, in this time that we live in, is just like, oh, it's so horrible. It's nice. As an only child, it's nice.
I would say it's definitely nice, and it's also kind of like the concept of being alone, or the concept of finding someone, I feel like has a almost scary, grandiose like stigma to it now, where people are very uncomfortable with saying out loud that they're okay with being alone. Not all of them, but like the scrutiny for some reason that comes with that. Like I feel like it's almost being like kind of pushed back left and right. Like, you know, there's the new generation of people who are not worried about being with or without someone, or being married, or any of those things. Yeah. But then there's like a very large group of people who is almost like trying to force down your throat traditional norms. Yeah. But like almost pushing it like, oh, you want to be all by yourself? That's not gonna work. That's not how people get happy. Yeah. And it's weird because it's like they'll be the same people who are alone. Like they'll already be alone, and they're pushing that narrative, maybe because they are unhappy, which is fine. Sure. But also from the perspective of like, well, the way I was taught, you're you know, like you're asking for trouble if you think being alone is the right answer. And it's like, you can't, first off, you can only control your existence so much, and you can determine who you want in it and who you don't. So if there is nobody who's come across your timeline that has benefited you and helped you grow as a person, and have helped you learn to enjoy partnership and companionship, then you shouldn't be forced to do that.
Yeah, no. And also, like, don't try to validate your lifestyle choice that you may or may not be comfortable with by trying to force me or trying to encourage me to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel like a good portion of it is too. Like, especially like older generations, like, why aren't you married, or why aren't you doing this, or why? Oh, listen, hey, guess what? I don't have to. Guess what? I get it. Maybe you weren't too happy secretly deep down inside about the choice you made. Maybe you didn't like it that much.
This is true.
But guess what? Getting me to do the same goofy shit that you did is not going to, like, in your mind, maybe like, oh my God, I feel so much better because it's validation. Other people are doing it. But guess what? Like, I don't need to pay for your like not so great decisions, or maybe decisions you regret, with my time in my life. We're here for a good time, not a long time. You've got the game fucked up.
Definitely that. And yeah, definitely from older generations, they look at you from the perspective of like, well, I did it. Why would you not want to do it? And it's like, oh, but did you want to do it? Or did you get pushed into doing it and or shamed into doing it? And now you're repeating that cycle.
And also, did you like it?
Of course.
And did you stay in it because you felt like you had to, and you'd be judged if you tried to get out of it?
Or do you still like it?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, listen, if you are comfortable with someone who's truly comfortable, in my very, very, very humble opinion, if you're comfortable with your decisions, you don't give a fuck what other people do.
Yeah.
And like, you don't feel the need to be like, oh, well, why aren't you? No, I don't care.
Yeah, you
like,
don't really scream at the mountaintops.
I'm cool with my decision of like being married, and that's how I've chosen to live my life. I have friends who are like, I could give a fuck about getting married. I love that for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, you know, friends who don't want to have kids. I love that for them. When I have had clients and people tell me like, I don't want to have a kid, I'm like, good on you.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. If you never hear this from anybody else, I'm so fucking proud of you, because that is single-handedly the most liberating and like unselfish thing that you can fucking like do and say.
Yeah.
Because like having a child, and this is a whole other conversation, having a child is one of the most selfish things in this world that you can do, because that child did not ask to be here. You wanted to have the child.
Yeah.
So that's on you. But for someone to be able to be like, I don't want kids, amazing. Because there's so many people who have kids that never should have been allowed. My parents shouldn't have been allowed to. We're going to call a spade out here.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
My mama should not listen. No. No. And honestly, like, not even trying to be shady, I really feel like if she had been born in a different time, like let's say she was Gen Z, right? I don't think she would have had a kid.
No, there's so much more choice.
I think it was very much like this is what I'm supposed to do, and I want this guy to stay with me. And, you know, also she had cancer, so she didn't think, when she had me, she didn't think she could have kids as well, with respect to that. But I think old girl would have been moving real different if she wasn't around her family, or she was born in a different generation, because the life she told me she was living before she had me, it was why would you have a kid if you're going on tour? Fuck having a kid. Go live your fucking life.
You know what's funny? There, definitely go live your life. And also I think there's, even in our group and younger, just kind of like the conditioning of like, well, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Because maybe you're lost within what it is you thought your purpose was. So now you're back to the drawing board with, well, I'm at a certain age. There's, you know, the clock is ticking. Let me do this. Let me figure that out. You know, it's actually kind of funny that you bring this up. I have a clip of me doing stand-up from...
Oh, Lord.
No, I have a clip of me doing stand-up at the Comedy Cellar in New York. And one of the questions... It's like a show that my buddy Will Savintz produces with his boy Cypher Sounds. And... you know Cypher Sounds?
Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't there this night, but... our buddy, another comedian, Ian Finedance, who was there.
That's a cool name.
Yeah, he's
That's
funny.
Cool.
He's got great podcasts, and also he's a funny comedian. But he was asking me about how I met you. And I don't know if I've ever shared this. I don't think I've shown you this clip, but he asked me.
I want to see this.
Yeah, it's funny. He asked me how I met you, and then he asked me if we had kids, and I said, no kids. And then I actually have it like right here.
Yeah, I want to see.
Wait, I'll play the clip. And then maybe I'll add it to the video that we're recording. But I'll play it for you right now and try to time it up. But like the clip is it's you know, it's funny. It's comedy.
It's comedy.
Hold on here. So here's the. Are we in the middle? Yeah. Here's the clip. I'll just play it into the mic so I can.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do I need to move over? Or am I?
I mean, no, we're in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But here it is. So 3, 2, 1, and play.
Do you have kids?
No kids.
Are you gonna?
We might. It's one of those things where if we do have kids, huzzah. If we don't, we're not gonna feel bad. Yeah.
Oh, so you're not like trying?
No, not trying for children. No, I enjoy my life.
Right? Yeah.
And you know, it takes a village to raise a child, and a lot of villages have burned down in the last 20 years. So, you know.
You're gonna say it takes a village, but you live in an apartment complex.
No, that would have been nice though. I like that.
No, because I said it and still no one laughed.
Yeah, and we're back. So no, that clip is funny and I like it, and I'll probably repost it, but like I'm also looking at it from the perspective of people who have kids taking offense to it.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I don't think it's that deep. I know you don't think it's that deep, but it's the same as like your.
Because that has nothing to do with me.
It has nothing to do. What do you mean?
How someone feels, like if someone feels a way
Sure,
about
sure.
like how I'm choosing to talk about having a kid or not having a kid, or we talk about or whatever, that has nothing to do with me. Nothing at all. Because all I'm doing, I'm not saying having a child is stupid. I'm in no way saying you're an idiot. I can't believe you. No. I'm saying for me, for us, that's not something we want to do. That's not something I want to do. And if you feel a way about the decision that I'm making about my ovaries
life, right.
and my cervix and my motherfucking body, hey, boo, that's not on me. You need to go talk to somebody about that, because I don't understand why you are so triggered by what the fuck I want to do with my pussy. I don't get it. That's crazy.
And if we want to do that, that's our business.
Right, exactly.
That's
like,
all it is.
If someone says like, I want to have a child, I think that's beautiful.
Go have it.
Oh, I don't want to have a child. I think that's beautiful. I think you should have a child. You should mind your fucking business. That's what I think.
The you having
That's
one
what, because like my aunt will say that. She's backed up. So Aunt Sonia, if you see this, I'm talking about the past, girl. I'm not talking about the present, okay? Because my Aunt Sonia is really good at respecting my boundaries. I really appreciate that about her. But she would be like, when are you and JD gonna have kids? No. And I said, are you paying? Are you offering? Because guess what?
You gotta.
Who's getting up with that child? Who's feeding that child, clothing that child, bathing that child, taking that child to school, paying if that kid wants to go to college? Like, who's doing that? Because right now, for me, Dre is about all I need.
That's
okay.
That's our cat. That's our cat, by the way.
She's enough. Like, that's enough. That's cute. That's cute for us. But, and then we had a conversation where I was just like, dude, I don't know that we want to do that. I don't think I want to do that. And I was just like, and why should we? Why? Why?
I think if we want to do it and we have a conversation about it, then we should, again, it's a we scenario anyway. But yeah, like, there's also like people who have that, I don't know, it's like a post feeling of missing out, where it's like, hey, you need to join us. Like, come be a part of what we're doing. And I'm like, I don't think I want to right now, or maybe ever. I'm not sure.
You should anybody saying that, go join a fucking mom's group and get away from me.
Or book club.
Yeah, whatever. Floats your fucking boat, sinks your canoe. Just like keep that shit over there. Like.
I would ask you, and we've had this conversation, but do you have like a visceral reaction to it now? Or is it just I don't know if that's for me, and if it ever comes back around the bend, we'll discuss it type of thing? Like, I could see myself as a dad one day for the right reasons, but I don't think I'm just in the mindset of, oh, I'm getting older, better have kids or else.
Yeah, that's not a reason.
I think that's a terrible reason. In my
very humble opinion, that is not a reason to have a child.
Mm-hmm.
I think mine, it changes on the day. I am not someone who would sit here and be like, I'm never, because when I say that, I feel like God be using his outside voice, and I don't need that kind of strife in my life. I'm going through a fucking enough right now. But I think it depends on the day. It is hard sometimes and I'm not going to get into all of this, but with everything that's going on in the world, you'd be hard convinced I'd be a hard person to convince to be like, yeah, have a child. Like, okay, but have a child now because, oh my God, having a child is so beautiful. And it is. Like, I roll my eyes, I make these smarmy comments, and it is. I do. Listen.
I'm just laughing.
I'm self-aware as fuck.
That's great, because I was gonna say, as long as you like
let's make something like abundantly clear. So this is on the fucking internet. Like, I am well aware of like the goofy, crazy shit that comes out of my mouth, and like the facial expressions and the visceral, oh my God, like I'm very aware of that, and how it can come off as like, damn, that girl just. Woo! She,
oh yeah,
like
if you get it in doses, like, sure, anybody could. Yeah. I mean, that's like anybody who gets clipped out of context and you see them being very passionate, and then it's just like, ooh, red flags, whatever, blue flags, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying never. I don't think there's no perfect time to have a child, but I don't think this is the most opportune time to have a child. And I just think that, I don't know, there are just some things, even like financially and like life-wise, that I would want. Like, I think a part of how we like us look at kids and like having kids, I think there's like a socioeconomic part that's a little bit different for me because like we grew up differently. And so there's certain things that if I'm going to have a child, I just don't really want them to have to go through or be around if I can help it. And, you know, that requires, you know, certain financial things to be in place. And I just, you know, I'm going to say something that's going to piss a lot of people off. And, you know, again, take it to your therapist because I said what I said. I feel for me, not for anybody else, do what you want with your body. It's your choice. But for me, I don't want to have a child if I don't feel like I can afford said child for 18 years and have certain things in place. And like, there's no guarantees. Stock markets crash in the world. You know, we've seen, okay, how the money can get real funny, child, in the world globally. But I want to be financially as prepared as possible because there's just certain things that I refuse to put a child through. Yeah. I have no interest in it's not even about me feeling like a failure or whatever, but it's like if I know that better is possible, then good is not enough when it comes to having a child. I'm not going to be the perfect parent. You're not going to be the perfect parent. It's not going to be the perfect scenario, but it can be comfortable and it can be, you know, a better environment. And if, you know, we have a child, that's what I want. And right now, that's not the case. And, you know, obviously it's changing. It's getting better every day. But yeah, I'm not saying never. I don't know. And we've talked about this, especially with the stuff that I've been through in the last year. And, you know, the stuff I'm going through with my dad right now. My entire life has been about taking care of other people, taking care of my parents, taking care of friends. And I was an active participant in those choices. And, you know, not when I was a kid, but as I got older, I finally, as of last year, hung up my Captain Save-A-Ho cape. I'm retired. Y'all can miss me with that shit. Somebody else can go say them bitches. It's not going to be me. And so right now, I just really want to see what it's like to take care of myself. I think something that's a very selfish thing that people say that I don't think they're always cognizant of is, you know, I want to give my kid everything. Fuck off. That is so selfish. I get it.
Sorry, you mean give your kid everything you didn't have?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like that. Like I used to understand that mentality. Now I'm like, you please go talk to somebody about that because that child is their own person. People get it confused. In my opinion, I think a lot of times some people, I'm trying not to generalize, some people say like, you know, my kids, no, they don't belong to you. They don't. You belong to them. It's the other way around. And they didn't ask to be here. You brought them here. So it's your responsibility to provide for them, take care of them, support them, do all those different things. And if that's not something you want to do, I don't know. I don't think you should be doing it, but that's just me.
I definitely think like parenting should be one of those things where it's like, oh, I've accomplished a certain amount of things in my life, and now I'm at a place where I would love to have a child so that I could grow and nurture and take care of another life that I would love to see prosper and thrive, not for my own benefit, but just because I would love to share or maybe have that experience with someone that I would actually be advocating and like focusing on and providing for from like a very unselfish place. That's what I would like to say. Like, oh, I want to have children because I want to be a provider for someone else. I want someone else to experience, not necessarily a life that was better than mine, but experience a life that I would love to fill with love and, you know, I guess maybe just give unconditional help and happiness towards. And you know, maybe even build a bond between parent and child. I could see that. But as long as it's not like, oh, I just want a baby to have a baby, or I just want a kid because everybody else has kids. I think there's that, and then there's also just wanting to be a parent, like you said, in a position of being able to take care of a child for 18 or plus years. And and it's funny, I think I told you this, but I don't know if I told you this, but what's his name told me this, Marlon. He told me, he said, well, yeah, JD, having kids is hard, just get famous first. And I was like, that's such a tone deaf thing to say. I was like, you sound like my dad. That sounds like something that sound yeah.
Are we shocked? We can't be shocked.
No,
we can't be shocked.
No, they're cut from in the sense of where what they've achieved.
For all intents and purposes, your dad was damn near his dad.
Yeah, on TV.
Like he low key raised him in showbiz. Low key.
He definitely did. He for sure did. He sure did. Yeah, Marlon Wayans. I thought that was such a funny thing because again,
because it makes it easier.
Well, it makes it easier, but also that's just a mindset and thing that he says. And also, he also asked me from the perspective of like, I'm having the baby, and I'm like, I ain't having the baby.
You're not.
And anytime people ask me about kids, I'm like, if my wife wants to put her body through that, I will support it, and we can talk about it and figure out where to go with that. But he was just like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well,
sir.
Yeah.
You're not carrying the fucking child. You can't possibly go blind from giving birth.
A lot of dudes don't think.
You can't die.
A lot of dudes do not consider or think about that. They just think like, oh, I put my seed out there, so now whoever's carrying it, please take it to the finish line for me. And I'm sorry to say it that way. That's just I didn't mean to say it in a bad way. I'm thinking about how like most men think that way. That's just yeah.
So embarrassing.
It's crazy.
I can't.
But I thought that was such a funny thing, and I was just like, all right, bro. Well, I'll check in when I'm famous. And even then, that still is so.
I mean, that comes with its own set of stuff.
Yeah, but
it makes it hard.
Even regardless of that, just saying that
is wild.
It's wild because it's
Marlon as fuck, but it's wild.
I mean, I've heard that from a few people. I've heard it from Marlon. I think I heard it from maybe like 2 other people who because older people who know me will ask, are you having kids or have you had?
Dave asked you?
I feel like he might have said something along the lines of well, once you get successful, it'll be easier. And he had his kid around like late 60s.
Yeah. Dave's a G for that because there's no fucking way. Shout out to
Dave.
Because
that's how involved men have to be. It's like literally I can have them whenever. Like that what's that Al Pacino had one around 80 something, didn't he?
De Niro just had a baby.
Oh, is it De Niro?
Yeah.
Or was it Pacino?
I don't know. Pacino might. I'm sure he did because
I think he just had one with like a 20-something-year-old, which is just really weird and gross. I
mean, not gross if it was just kind of like an egg situation.
I don't think it was no egg. I don't think so.
No, I mean in the sense of like they might not have even had to have had sex. Like
I'm trying to tell you, I don't think that's what it was, but maybe it was. I doubt it. I'm because he has kids, so it was more of just like, this is my 28-something-year-old girlfriend, 50 years apart.
Hey man, they like it. I love it. Hey, that has nothing to do with me. Shout out to Pacino. You're a fabulous actor. I hope you're a bang up dad. It's gonna suck that your kid's probably not gonna fucking see.
You're not gonna get 10 years out of that baby. Maybe. Who knows?
I mean, I hope so. Let's not speak that over his life, but
Sure, knock on wood. I'm saying the baby in the sense of just like genuine age.
Yeah.
Could get 10, maybe 20. 8, no, wasn't that this 103?
That motherfucker is in his 70s.
No, let's not speak on their life.
I'm just saying.
He's 83. That's what I'm trying to say.
Pacino's 83?
Is he 83?
No fucking way. Pacino's in his 70s. Hold on.
He's 80. He's 80 years old.
We gotta put some respect on Pacino because that's a bad motherfucker. Hold on.
What's the name? Is in his 80s? Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's done like weird stuff with his like granddaughter and stuff. Like
I don't know nothing about that.
He's on some questionable shit.
I thought that was Woody Harrelson.
I mean,
No, Woody Allen.
Al Pacino was 83 years old. You're correct. I'm so sorry. Damn.
And his girlfriend is 28. But Yeah, man, kids. I don't know. I'm happy for everybody who does have a kid, and I wish you the best with that relationship, and I hope that it goes well for you and your child because I think kids are great.
Kids are great.
I like kids. I'm a big kid, so it's very much a thing where I used to work with kids and coach kids in after school program, and I had way more in common with them than I did with any of the adults who were on my staff because they were boring and were complaining about adult things, and then I would go and hang out with the kids who were like. Fifth graders, 10 and 11 years old. They're probably all in their 20s now, and we'd be talking about the things I care about, Mario Kart and Pokemon. So it was fun to connect with kids when I still had and still do have the enjoyment of like my childhood things that made me happy within myself. Like I always find it weird when I come across adult friends who kind of like. Just like, I don't know what this word is. They just kind of like dismiss everything they enjoyed as a child just because they're at a point in life where it's like, oh, I can't enjoy that. And I'm like, really?
They can enjoy it or they just no longer enjoy it?
No. Like they choose not to enjoy it because they think that it would be beneath them to enjoy it. And I always find that like as a weird. I'm just like, wait, so you don't, or if they get into a relationship where the opposite party won't allow them to be a part of that.
That's crazy.
I think that's wild. And I say that with someone who like walked into like a video game store one day, and like this dude was selling his entire like collection from his childhood just because his wife told him he had to.
Now hold on, we're missing a lot of context.
I'm sure there's a lot of
conversation
context
like that. Like that may not look. That could look like one thing and could be another.
Definitely could. I agree with that.
Like, if they need to pay rent, if
sure.
If he cheated, I don't know, it could be a whole, or she could have just been an asshole. It could just be a whole lot of shit.
I'm just saying it from what I heard when he walked into the store and said, very much to
his chagrin or dismay.
To the dismay of, yeah, my wife just says I can't have this stuff anymore. It was very, no, I don't know. But
as a woman, that makes me think like, okay, so how distracting was that from your marriage?
No, okay, so
again, we're missing so much context here. That's just saying, like, the first thing that comes to mind for me is like,
I understand the distraction to your marriage. I think it was more, and I've seen people have these relationships where,
yeah.
It's like
someone close to you had that.
Yeah, but it's more of I just don't deem this as something that I would find as a quality in an adult partner, so I don't want them to have it anymore.
Sure, it's just controlling, and it's like you should just be with somebody else then.
Very much so.
Like if they were doing that when you met him, like, okay.
Yes.
Like you're trying to change someone. Like evolution and change is fine, but to just like get with someone and then all of a sudden be like, hey, yo.
No, yeah. And again, that's, I think, where the person came from when they were talking about it. But, I don't know.
This is the last thing I'll say about kids because I lost my train of thought earlier and it just came back to me. I was talking about how, like, all my life, like my, parents parentified me, raised me to take care of them, all that kind of stuff. And being at this, stuff I went through last year, stuff I'm going through now with my dad. People say like, oh, I want to give my child what I didn't have and blah, 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 blah. For me, not anybody else, just for little old me, I got to a place, especially with having to go to therapy, shout out to Dr. Kelly if you see this, where I realized what would it look like if I gave that to myself instead of a child? Like Renee was telling me about this article that kind of spoke about this as well. And there was a quote that said that's an incredible, like a lot of pressure or an incredible amount of responsibility or whatever to put on such tiny shoulders. And I was like, yeah, I feel that way. I want to be able to pour into myself and take care of myself and do things for myself before I do that for a child. Like Renee kind of has this thing that she always like she's been calling out to us lately where it's like, hey, when you go here, when you do this, like get something for little so-and-so. So she'll be like, hey, like, I'm proud of you. You did this, Pilar. Like get something for little Pilar. And so the other day, as an example, I was walking around and there was a record store and there was like a little cheap bin outside and I just looked at a couple records. I went inside and there was the name of a jazz artist that I love, that I grew up with, that I'd seen it in a store before, but not like on a tab. Like very specifically, it was Dakota Staten. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, people know who Dakota Staten is? Like, if you don't know jazz, you don't know. I'm sure most people on this probably don't know who Dakota Staten is. And I was like, there's no way they're going to have this album. If they have this album, I'm literally going to lose my mind. JD, I went like, doot. I started crying. I was like, oh my God, it was like, I'm like getting emotional like right now. I remember like I was not allowed to like put the records on the record player, and I get it. My mom didn't want me to scratch them, but it was my favorite record. And it had, I was fine until I was going to say what I was about to say. Summertime, which is my favorite version of Summertime. And what really hit me too when I pulled it out, I never realized it was on the record because that song didn't mean as much to me then, but Misty was on that. Yeah, which was really nice. And it was like $7. And I bought the record and I was like, oh, I did that for like little me, you know, like I have my own record player now and I have records that I collect and thank you. That I collect and mean a lot to me. And not that having a kid would have kept me from doing that, but I might not have had that same free time to do that. And a lot of the healing and stuff that I've been doing, and like inner work and just, you know, not figuring myself out, but like getting to know myself better. I don't know that I would be able to do that if I had a child. And I think it's just really important for me to to experience that for myself first, because I think that if I ever become a mother would make me, you know, because not to toot my own horn, but my therapist, for Christ's sake, and all my friends are like, listen, we get it. It's your body, your choice. But if you don't have a kid, like that's damn, that'd be a waste. You'd be a fantastic mom. Like Tasha's mom was talking to her the other day and was like, Pilar would be such a great mom. Tim, who's adopted, is like, I really, you know, I get it. She may not, she may want to, but like what he said made me cry. He was like, the capacity that she has to love, would just make for a really good mom. And it like really touched me because one, he's adopted and, you know, that's complicated. And, you know, I'm the godmother of his kids. So for him to like recognize that, I was like, oh, wow, like that, you know, that means a lot because, you know, God forbid anything happens, like they come to us. But I think for me to like actualize and become the mom I would want to be to that child, there's stuff I need to do for me and like need to just experience myself before I carry and bring a life in, because I never want to resent my child and I never want to feel like, damn, I should have done this, or oh, I didn't get to do that and now I gotta wait, or now I want to know what it is to kind of have life uninhibited by feeling the responsibility. I'm good, thank you. By feeling the responsibility to take care of others before I take care of myself. Like,
do you mean take care of yourself before you take care of others? I feel like you just said that backwards.
Sure, I probably did.
Yeah, no big deal.
But yeah, I just, you know, I had a really nasty habit before of self-abandoning, and I kind of feel like if I had a child right now, it would be a form of that.
So then with that being said, do you have like a checklist or a time frame, or is it more just like if it happens, it happens?
I don't have a time frame. I don't think I have a time frame. I mean, obviously I'm a woman, so like I mean, you saw when I got that COVID test that one time, that woman was like, well, you should shut the fuck up. You should shut the fuck up. What I want to do with my body, bitch, is my motherfucking business. I'm a woman. You think I don't know? You think I don't know the clock is ticking? I don't need pressure from you. I came here for a COVID test.
She brought that up during a goddamn COVID test, right? Like, because she saw your age on a piece of paper or something?
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm here for you to swab my fucking nose, bitch.
Right? Like
the fuck?
Pete, that's what I mean.
Like, I didn't ask. You're not my primary care doctor. We're an urgent care. This is not an urgent issue.
Yeah, that's a wild ass thing to bring up during an urgent care session. Like,
but like,
ooh,
thus
you're
is the
however
plight of a
old?
woman. That is being a woman. Is like everywhere you go. Well, you know, you're running out of minutes before I clock
Beat
you,
your
bitch.
ass.
You're running out. You're gonna get cussed out in about
Or I lose my patience.
2.5 seconds. Because I remember telling her, that's my choice, my decision. Well, you know, you're 30, whatever I was, 33, 34, or 33. You should really, okay, well, that's not what we're here to talk about. If we could just swab this nose.
Right?
That'd be great.
If we could just do the job that you came here to do. That's wild.
The fuck, are you my OBGYN? I think not.
No.
But no, I don't have like a timeline. There are certain, you know, there's more traveling I want to be able to do. I haven't traveled nearly as much as I would like to. I want to see other parts of the world. I would love to, like, you know, spend a summer in France or a summer in Italy and be immersed in the culture and the language and see how other people live. One of the best things I think you can do in this life is get out of your fucking, especially in America, get out of this self-involved bullshit and like see how other people lived. Like when we went to France, like that was earth-shattering for me. That was incredible. And seeing how people live in like the cafe culture, and like I want to go to Australia and like spend like 2 weeks with like Chris and Patty, not necessarily at your guys' house. You know I love a hotel, but like, you know, I hope I would make it 2 weeks because them motherfucking snakes and shit, chat. I don't
Big
know.
ass spiders.
I hope I could make it. But you know, but like
Spider-Man.
doing stuff like that, and like even how, what was it? Was that last year? It was last year. Last year, Chris, Patty, and I went to an estate sale. We just decided on like a Wednesday. We decided Friday we're going to get up crazy early, go to this estate sale. We went. We had a great time. The Chanel prices were literally unhinged and deranged. We were like, no, thank you. We went and got brunch after at Dialogue, and we're standing in line getting ready to order food, and Patty was like, or no, Chris goes, my husband's crazy, in his Australian accent. Like, my husband's crazy. He like was talking about going to Vegas. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys would have the best time. And then it immediately turns into, you want to go? The fuck? Yeah. We order food and then we sit down. And by the time we sit down, the food's not even there yet. We just order it. By the time we sit down, we've booked our flights. And I've texted you and been like, hey, like, how would you feel? Like, I just want to let you know. And you're like, yeah, go have a good time. I would love to do that a couple more times. That is something that as a kid, I always wanted to be able to do, to just be like, hey, let's go to fucking Vegas this weekend. Or, hey, you want to go to London for 4 days and just pick up. You can do that when you have a child. There are people that do that. I don't know that that's the type of lifestyle I would want with a child. But also just the freedom of like, I don't have to worry about this or do. It's like bills are paid, cat's fed, husband's good. Let's get on a fucking plane and go live life. Like that, I so desperately yearn to do that, and having a child would complicate that. So being able to do that a bit more would, I think, make me be like, oh, okay, yeah, like I can, chill out. I don't know.
When you have a child and then continue to do that, it almost somewhat feels selfish in the sense that you're kind of bringing the child along like a carry-on item to your.
Well, I know that's like special for you as well. Because,
yeah, because I was one of them babies. I was one of them babies who was
like it.
I was one of them babies, and like I'm not complaining about being exposed to culture. I'm happy that I was able to do it, or I can't complain that like my family wanted to do that. It's more just I felt like, oh, I'm just here as like almost like a side extension of what y'all got going on, because y'all want to keep living your lives, but you wanted me to be there too. And then you got my brother and you bring us along, and now we're just going on family trips that in my personal opinion are hella boring, because I'm a kid who wants to just like enjoy kid stuff, but I'm out doing things that personally I'm not having the most fun with. And now get a few years older, I somewhat resent it until the point of like finally going and doing it for myself. In which case, then I'm like, oh, this is nice. It's nice when it's on your terms, but when you're a child, you don't have terms. You're just connected by the hip of whoever birthed you and is raising you, and you should just be grateful to be there, or at least that's how society kind of shows it. So yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, I just want to fuck around and find out a little bit more, especially because like COVID, took that for like we got robbed for a couple of years, and I'm sure a lot of people feel this way. Like I felt like I was really catching my stride, and then boom, the world shuts down.
Oh, them strides were cut off.
Yeah, and it just it sucks, and just seeing. I think having friends that are from other countries absolutely makes a huge difference. And just, I don't know, life is just meant to be lived and experienced. And I don't know that, having a child right now is like, it's no.
I mean,
obviously not right now.
No, but regardless of right now, I don't know. I don't genuinely know anyone personally who's like, or maybe like two people I know who are like, oh yeah, we're trying for kids. Like maybe.
Oh, I mean, I've known people like that.
I'm sure
yeah.
you do. I'm thinking from the guy's perspective, like in the sense of
yeah, I mean, dudes.
Yeah, well, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about my circle, not yours. I'm thinking about my friends that I know, and more or less, it's like, oh yeah, no, I just got a baby now, and it's about that time that we just had babies, and I'm like, okay, cool. And it's like, so y'all were trying for babies? Like, nah, we got them, and that's nice. And not that it's a problem, more like, almost like they're not like they're unsure of what they're supposed to do, but like almost the way that society shapes us, and that your families shape you, and generations before you, and cultural norms shape you. It's like, oh, we're cracking that timeline. Should we have one now? Or I don't even think that's a thought process. I think it's just like, well, if I didn't have one now, who knows if I would have had one? And you don't consider like, okay, but what do you want out of life? Like, are there other things that you might want to pursue? Are there things that you were thinking about doing? Or was it more just like, yeah, we're here, we have kids, and now we're going to be parents?
And also, are you thinking about that child? Like, are you really going to be committed? Do you really want to actually raise a child? Because having a child and raising a child are two very different things. And I don't know. I also feel like people should have to go to fucking therapy before they're allowed to. I mean, you can have a child, obviously not be allowed, but I think therapy should be a motherfucking requirement. I know that.
I think it should be a requirement. I think it should be a requirement once you're over 18, period.
No, I think it should be a requirement
Earlier?
from when you're, yes.
Oh, well, that's true.
Oh my God.
Or maybe there should be like
Jesus.
therapy check-ins in certain like big moments in life, like 1 year during like the most pivotal point of each like phase, like young child, teenager, early adult, this and that. Obviously, you can add more as you want to. But I hear what you're saying. But,
yeah.
Because the way you said it, like almost sounded like, oh, before you have kids, you should do it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying no. But you were saying it like it sounded like
kill your shit before you put that shit on someone else.
No, of course. I'm saying like almost like how we talk about like couples counseling, like a prerequisite to marriage. Mm-hmm. No, but you're saying like no, therapy should just be.
I mean, we didn't do that.
No, and we should still do it. But I'm thinking more or less along we did our own separate therapy is what we did, and we want to do couples counseling as well. Mm-hmm. What I was trying to say was like, oh, we're thinking of having children. Now let's go to therapy and talk about having children. Mm-hmm. Is that what you just meant like regardless of that? No, just y'all, therapy should just be something we all do.
Yeah.
I think it should be too.
Therapy should be something we all do. Yes.
I think that's
1,000%.
Yeah, I think that stigma is so ridiculous because people see it as if there's a problem, and it's not that. Whenever people ask me about therapy, because you and I both did it for, I would say, multiple years. Mm-hmm.
I still do it every now and again like a touch-up basis.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Dr. Kelly. I love my therapist. She's the best.
Right. I like mine too. He's really cool. And I think it's more just whenever I talk to people, what's wrong?
I'm sorry. I just thought about I had like a therapy session sometime last year, and we were both in the house. Like I think you had therapy and you were downstairs and I was upstairs, and you like went upstairs to get something.
And I walked past your therapy session and it sounded completely different than mine.
Yeah, and you were like, "Are you sure that was therapy?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And you were like, "It sounded like you were having like a little kiki, like no." You said it sounded like you were having tacky time with Elle, and I was like, "No, that's how I talk to my therapist." And you were like, "Really?" And I was like, "Listen, if I can't be myself, that's not my therapist."
Your therapist is a reflection of yourself, and I think that is exactly what you were having, because my therapy sessions are kind of how I am. They're very much like how I am. I'm very kind of to the nose, trying to, I don't know, not necessarily solve problems, but trying to understand the root of the conversation. And I mean, you've seen me in meetings. I'm not like a funny business person. I don't like being funny outside of when I'm professionally doing it. Sometimes that's how I am sometimes personally, when I feel like, oh, we need to adult up in the room. I don't know if that's just something that I've learned or whatever. But yeah, no, my therapy sessions are different. But then there are ones that are really funny, and I feel like I'm allowed to be I'm allowed to be my most authentic self. But I, like, when I was doing them here, I would have them in however I would like to have them.
Yeah.
There would be certain moments where I'd be like just kind of very honest and cutthroat, and then there would be moments where I'm more kind of stoic and listening from a casual perspective, I'd say.
Yeah.
What you mentioned earlier about having the capacity to be a good mother is what I was talking about when I was saying the mindset of wanting to be a parent. That's what I was trying to explain. Like, maybe mine came off as like you just want to give your child the world, but what I was trying to say is like knowing that you have the capacity, or maybe not even knowing, but being told that you have the capacity to be a great parent, and then hearing that and being like, oh, that sounds really nice. I appreciate that. And if I have children, then I hope I can be the best version of that parent for that child. Yeah, because I've been told, every once in a while, like, oh, you be a really cool dad or a fun dad and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, I think I'll turn that dad shit out. I think I'll have some good ass times. I think we both be fun parents personally. But we got to go travel to London first, y'all. No, I'm just kidding. like no, but there's definitely stuff in life that I do want to just experience. And even if and also I'm not afraid to say, like, yeah, if I don't have children, like it'll be like those TikToks where it's like,
what, dinks?
Huh?
Dinks?
I don't know what that is.
Double income, no kids.
Maybe that's what it means. But like, have you seen those videos where it's like the song is coming off the root with the light, dun, 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 and then it goes real loud or whatever. Yeah. And it's like,
don't sing that shit. Turn up the whole damn thing. Gonna get lit. Yeah, I love that one.
But I think like the caption will be like 60 something without kids, how's life?
Oh my god, I've seen that. It's amazing.
Yeah, and then it
epic.
Yeah, transitions into them living their best lives and not
thriving
and not complaining about anything. And like,
thriving.
I think I had one friend ask me like, well, what will you do with everything you've like come to, I guess, achieve, and like he said, one of my comedy friends said, well, who are you gonna pass any of this?
For fuck's sake.
What's wrong?
Sorry, I hate
just that statement.
Just that legacy shit.
Oh, I mean, I don't even know if it was legacy. I think he was genuinely talking about like just like genuine valuable items that I have that matter to me. And I was like, he was like, well, who would you pass down your like, your stuff that you care about to? And I was like, charity?
It's not a reason.
I was like, or I was like to a nephew, a niece.
I swear that's when I'm like, y'all be worried about the wrong shit when it comes to like the mentality around having a child. Like, not saying you, I'm saying people in general. It's like, y'all be worried about the wrong shit.
Because I think a lot of people don't know why they have children.
Yeah.
We just kind of had, and again, neither of us have children, nor are we speaking ill about people who do.
But we have wonderful godchildren who are amazing, and we love very, 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 very much.
Yeah,
Zozo and Jojo and Theo.
Yeah, I look at that and I'm just like, look, man, like everybody gotta live their lives the way that they want to, and I'm not here to shame you for having children, nor should you be here to shame me for not having children. And if we both end up having children,
Fabulous.
amazing.
Wonderful.
Huzzah. That's what I said in my
Vibes.
stand-up clip. I was like,
Huzzah.
huzzah. If it happens, cool.
Mazel. Like,
Mazel
go
tov.
off.
Yeah. I like kids. That's the funny part. Like, it's always, I think, a weird thing where people think that people who don't have kids don't enjoy kids. And it's like, no, I love kids and know what they're about. And maybe that's why I would much rather, like you said, give that type of energy to the younger version of myself that's still here. Listen, we're in my office. This ain't nothing but little JD up in here. This room ain't nothing but little JD. God, you talking about grabbing that record off the shelf? I got stuff over there that gets me teary-eyed, which is so goofy and weird, but it just reminds me of a nostalgic time when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna say shout out to Banjo Kazooie waking you up that morning.
Oh my God.
Okay, so your response to that makes me feel like it's bad that I had that kind of reaction.
No, it's not. You know why I'm rolling my eyes.
Yeah, I know.
Why am I rolling my eyes?
Because that made me teary-eyed, and my wedding didn't make me teary-eyed. But when you laugh at that, all I can think of is, well, when in my life has being like, not that me loving you or being married to you doesn't get me emotional. It definitely does. Maybe I'm bad at sharing it with you to a certain degree. I'm not as, I am emotional, but I tell you the things that make me feel emotional about our relationship as often as I think makes sense. But also sometimes I like to have those moments for myself, but almost not to compare, but core memories from my childhood, it might have nothing to do with that thing that I saw. It might just trigger a feeling that I had when I was younger, and I could say like, oh, that moment in my life made me really happy. And not to say that my wedding doesn't make me happy. Like when I look back at those photos in our wedding and our videos, I always get really emotional and enjoy those. But also what I meant to say is that I think, the concept of marriage and relationships, I don't know how that was catered to you growing up. Compare. I do know to a certain extent, but like maybe I'm looking at it from like the like general norms and roles of society when it comes to how marriage is perceived for men versus women to a certain degree. And not to say that it can't be the same happy, emotional, gratifying moment for both, but I don't think I was ever raised in that way, where it was promoted and or like shared as like this is like the most magical this and that time of your life. I think we all have that general idea of that, but not the way that like some I'd say younger women or just women in general are kind of like, you want to find your the man of your dreams or the woman of your dreams and then get married and then, live happily ever after. And that's like kind of almost from a societal norm standpoint, like kind of shoved down like the young psyches of some men and women out there through life. If that makes sense. You nothing to say, or it's like just I'm
listening.
Okay, yeah, I'm just saying. I wish when I was younger that type of like I think I wish feelings and emotions took priority compared to me having to discover and understand them as I got way older, in my opinion. To a point where I'm like, oh yeah, feeling things is a thing. That's good. That's nice. And not just having core memories that may or may not now make me, because like, I don't even know if it's like a happiness type of thing. I don't know if it's more sadness because I know I can't go back type of feeling, So these are just my thoughts.
I mean, I did come from a broken home. My parents weren't married when they had me. Some of my earliest memories of my parents are of them arguing. And when I say arguing, I mean like on some Love and Hip Hop shit. Like, you know, I didn't grow up in a home where there was a lot of love or love to be seen. Like, I watched them argue like cats and dogs, would wake up in the middle of the night because they were arguing like cats and dogs and saying like really egregious things to each other. That's where I learned how to cuss. It's probably where I learned how to read a bitch, truth be told, because both of them are fucking savages. But, you know, and like I grew up in a home where like my dad actively chose to not be there. Like he moved across the country away from his daughter. And then when he was in town, what did he do? He went to jazz and blues festivals and would have to drive by my exit twice and wouldn't come and see me. He didn't come to, or he said he came to my graduation. If he was there, great. I mean, my grandmother says he saw him. I don't know if she really saw him or if she's just trying to be nice, but he didn't come up and see me. Like there were no daddy-daughter dances. Even when we lived in the same state, like he didn't go to my place. He always missed them. And shout out, you know, I give my mom credit where it's due. She always made up a really nice excuse for him. But, you know, I grew up hearing about how he cheated on her or, you know, watching her try to manipulate him and stuff like that. Like there was not love in that house or in that relationship. Like I watched my mom like do stupid shit, not stupid shit, but just like do shit with men where I was like, girl, like you making this a lot more complicated than it needs to be. Because kids, like, we don't understand all that there is in the world. Obviously, we have such a myopic view, but at the same time, because of that, we just see shit as like 2 + 2 is 4. And even as a grown woman looking back at her behavior, I'm like, girl, man, like, again, I mean, my mother, you know, allegedly, because, you know, slander, defamation. I don't need bitches trying to get cute. I really don't. I want no parts of that because she's wild and I don't need someone sending her this clip and then her being like, I'm gonna fucking like fuck off.
Allegedly, my mother is crazy. It's so funny. But you know what? I actually was thinking about how you are supposed to say that. So yeah,
you are, and I don't like. You're not gonna catch me slipping.
Allegedly,
right? You know, allegedly. There's this one creator on YouTube. She always cracks me up. She makes these great videos. I can't remember her name, but she's always like allegedly in Minecraft. Like that's how she says.
Oh,
allegedly.
Like she tells her stories.
Yeah, yeah. She'll be like, so allegedly in Minecraft, this person did X, Y, and Z, and it always tickles me. I don't play Minecraft. I know nothing about it, but I just think that's funny.
That's funny.
But allegedly, my mother has narcissistic personality disorder and borderline personality disorder. So if you know what that is, you know. There was a lot of craziness happening in that motherfucking house. And my father is emotionally immature. So yeah, that there was no exemplary relationship that I grew up. There was no example of like, oh my God, this is what outside of like TV or whatever. I just knew that I wanted to share my life with someone and wanted to do better than what my parents did, because obviously that shit wasn't, you know, a great blueprint to follow. And I figured out for me, like, oh, like I think it would be cool to be in love with someone and like spend your life with someone and have somebody that like you're with and has your back and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, what you grew up with wasn't perfect either, but your father had a very interesting way of how he showed that, in my very humble opinion, because I was not there when you were a child. What I observed while I had the honor of knowing your dad and experiencing him was he had a very specific way that he showed how he loved you guys and how I perceived that he communicated that he loved you. It wasn't what you needed. You needed more, and you deserved a lot more than what you got. And same with Alex, and in some ways, same with your mom.
Allegedly. Sorry. Sorry.
But there are moments over the years that I saw your parents share that would make me wonder how different I would have been if I had gotten to see that kind of love. Like I think your dad was his sweetest. Like I think I saw the sweetest form of that man whenever she was sick, because he would make her soup and he would check on her and he would dote on her in a way that I never really saw him do before. You know, he'd make himself scarce allegedly and like go and do his thing. You know, he was always bopping around the house, but the times when she was sick, I saw the love that they shared. And it was really beautiful to watch, especially knowing like, you know, some of his traumas and like, you know, that dynamic and her and, you know, all those different things. But yeah, that wasn't something I grew for all intents and purposes. I should be a baby mama, or dead ass, like straight up. I should be a baby mama. I should have a coke problem, probably. I should be drinking. You know what I mean? I never should have waited to fuck until I got married. I should have been out here spreading it around. Didn't do that. I just went in the opposite direction.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I was not inferring that you had a better outlook as a child on relationships and marriage and all that stuff. I was saying specifically how society manufactures marriage and relationships towards young girls compared to young boys is what I was getting at. Not your personal scenario, not your personal situation. I'm aware that that's not what you experienced. And I'm also aware that's not 100% what I experienced. I did know what it was to see two parents together.
Sure.
I definitely know what that was. But I never thought twice about it. I thought that's just how it was because of my scenario outside of maybe, allegedly, a year or two where I feel like they weren't as close. But I
mean, that's public record.
Allegedly. But I was going to say, I was saying the way that they kind of like how society caters Barbie to girls and G.I. Joe to boys. That's what I was trying to say. And then if you're, you know, your own person and figure out that, maybe you like Barbie as well as G.I. Joe, you know, then
I actually did fuck with G.I. Joe.
Yeah, then that's your own person. Listen, I liked Spice Girls when I was younger. I thought I was like, them girls got it. I used to know their dances. I don't know why I was doing them, but I knew them.
They were good.
I used to know that. I used to know Britney Spears.
Oh my God. Iconic.
What's the oops, I did it again. I play with. I used to know that joint. That was my joint. But yes, I was talking about more or less the type of stuff that is catered in our generation, because it's not as free as it is now, if we're just being real. Like, you know, very much like boys are on this side, boys are blue, girls are pink type, you know. So that's what I was alluding to when it came to the marriage and wedding and video game and all that stuff. Yeah. Not to say that they don't matter the same, if not more. They definitely, like, my marriage is way more important than like fucking video games. I'm hyper aware about that. Hopefully you know that. Yeah. And I'm sorry if I spaz out and that maybe made you, I don't know how that made you feel outside of like surprised, I suppose. Well, did it hurt you that I felt like that? Because I'm not like.
I think rationally, no. I think emotionally, yes. Not hurt, like, oh my God, scars. I'm gonna bring this up in like therapy, but I think especially at that time, like in our marriage, if we're gonna like be honest, yeah. Because I felt like at that very specific time in our marriage, I definitely felt like you could get emotional about not a lot, but some things, but not really me. And our marriage. And so to see you get like that hyped, you know, again, nostalgia, which like, you know, the feels, you know, like the 90s, like it was a very special time. But yeah, a part of like a part of me was like, damn, like I've never seen him like get that emotional or that like whatever, however to describe that emotion about me or our marriage or our wedding or anything. Not to say that you weren't like, excited, but that level of emotion and passion. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. I did not know that it was something that maybe frustrated you or in that moment or whatever.
I mean, I said it to you.
I know you said it, but I thought you were. But I'm thinking you're comparing it to the feeling and emotions that I had on our wedding day, not considering what we may or may not have been dealing with during our marriage in that particular time.
But I told you then, because you asked me. You were like, "Well, what why do you feel this way?" And I told you, I was just like, because there was another like thing with like Paul and Gabe one night where I was like, I wish, that I got that kind of like emotion or whatever from you. I feel like you're able to do that in video games or sometimes with your friends, but not necessarily with me. And so I did tell you at the time.
Okay, so you told me at the time, but you're saying that specific emotion, or just like you're saying, are you trying to say that I don't get, or maybe I haven't gotten that type of excited with you in moments at all in our relationship, or you're just like, oh, I wish he would exude that particular emotion with me from time to time, particularly like that specific emotion. It's not a thing where you're considering the other emotions that I share with you or the moments that I do have with you that are very exciting for, well, I would say they're exciting for me. I'm not sure how you would see them possibly.
I mean, yeah, they are exciting for me, but I think to what you stated earlier in the podcast, by your own admission, you're not always the best at showing it outwardly. Like you may feel that inside, but I don't always know what that looks like on the outside. Even like a conversation we had a couple like weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago now. I don't know, weeks, months, whatever. It's all blending together these days. But I lost my train of thought, and
oh, you're good.
We were having a conversation, and we're talking about emotions, or hold on, I'm gonna get it in a second.
No big deal.
No, this just like drives me crazy when this happens. I don't know. We were talking about being emotional, and I don't know, like I think just the general conversation like we've had before is, you don't always express out. I don't feel like you always express outwardly how you feel, and so I think I had said to you, I feel like you have this expectation that, including me, but people in general, just like if you say something once about how you feel, like, or if you just, we're just supposed to know and just kind of carry that, versus like, it's nice to hear. Like I know I've said that too over the course of our marriage. Like it's, nice to hear if you think I look pretty or if you think whatever. Like those things are nice. Like not saying that and just assuming that someone knows that is difficult on the other person at times. And what I expressed to you in that conversation was, I don't know. I'm not saying it's intentional, but I feel like you're not always cognizant of that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have those feelings. I also feel that sometimes, I'm not trying to flip this. I'm just trying to say that I sometimes feel that same way with you when I don't know what's going on in the sense of emotions and how you're feeling. But I am absolutely aware that I think that's something I exude for sure. And I try to work on it, as much as I can. I definitely am a lot more, I would say, vocal about things that I'm feeling and sharing and wanting to share with you on a daily basis now, more compared to the past. And hopefully it's beneficial, But yeah, no, I think that probably comes from at a younger age, maybe being told that like my opinion or thoughts on things was wrong or not what I should be saying or how I should be speaking. And then sometimes I think I just clam up and hold it in and keep it to myself because I'm like, well, the whole, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And even when I did have some nice things to say, it's like, oh, maybe I'll just skip that part too. Because who knows if that will be perceived as nice, or maybe it's just something that I should just internally think.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are some of the thoughts that I have.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
And also I feel like when it comes to me and you, like you get me hype in different ways. Like video game hype is such a weird thing. I don't know how to.
It's not about
the
video
hype.
game hype. It's about that expression of emotion. It was about that excitement, about the fact that you teared up. And I understand that nostalgia, like rationally, I understand. Like I just literally was crying and getting teared up over a record, right? But to not see your spouse do that for you, at least for me, that was tough.
For sure. But I would say I think my thing is like the emotions that I receive from marriage aren't the same as the emotions I would be feeling for stuff like nostalgia. Those are two different, they like to me live in two different houses, you know? Like mine is more like for our marriage is way more under the circumstance of appreciation and happiness and feeling secure with someone that I care about. And like, I feel like to me, the emotions that I share that I guess would be somewhat equivalent is like when me and you are having just like the best time together, you know, like whether we're gossiping or joking about some stuff or having a moment with each other out and about or having a conversation that's really beneficial to both of us or being silly at home. To me, that's what I would kind of put in the same realm of what those feelings are, or getting excited to do stuff together or share experiences with one another. And I apologize if I'm not teary-eyed enough for those particular things. I know that's not what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that's more or less how I see that, you know. Like when I go back and watch like old videos of us from like 10 years ago, or maybe look at like a photo or something that we have at the house, like I definitely sit back and like kind of just like stay present in that moment, and I'm like very thankful to have you in my life and have you be a part of what I would say are the better years of my life, I would say, you know, or the better part of who I am in my lifetime. So those are how I feel when I think about us and what we've come to accomplish in all these years personally.
Nice.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No problem. I'm sorry if I don't share that enough. I feel like I share it to, maybe I feel like I share it enough, but maybe it's not enough. Maybe you need more.
I've expressed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And or maybe I don't know how much you need. Maybe there's that. Maybe if I'm thinking about how I look at it from my side of in my shoes. Yeah, comparatively. Maybe that's just how I see it sometimes. I don't know. Did you want to get to the end of this thing, or do you want to, I don't know. I think we've definitely gone over an hour. It's like an hour 20. Other than that, I think there was like maybe one question, but if not, we can.
Let's do it. I mean, it would probably be great to end it on a lighter note.
What do you mean? You uncomfortable?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, I don't care if they're uncomfortable. This is our podcast. Last time I checked.
Okay. Well.
Unless, what do you mean lighter note? Was it sad?
No, it's just like intense.
Intense?
I mean, like I'm thinking about the listener, not us. This is our life.
Sorry, we got intense on y'all, babies. My bad. Why you eye roll?
Because they're intense. Like,
I don't see that as intense. Whenever I'm having conversations like that, I see those as just genuine conversations. I'm sure that people can get uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how someone might receive this, not how I feel about it. I'm fine with it, but I'm thinking about, you know, like we just had a very, you know, personal conversation about our marriage and our relationship and, you know, all those things, I'm thinking about the listener. Like, how would they receive this? You know, this might be, you know, a lot for someone, which is fine. They chose to listen to this, but, you know, we can also end it on like a lighter note for them.
That's nice of you. That's usually my thought process on producing content. But I only say this as the fact that in the beginning of this thing, you say you don't give a fuck what nobody thinks when you're talking about what you talk about.
Yeah,
but not in this scenario.
It's not about not giving a fuck what someone thinks is very different for me than not giving a fuck how something I create or participate in can make someone feel.
Okay. I would say yes, but at the same time, we posted them clips like a week ago and you didn't give a fuck how that made people feel. But that's not the same, is what I'm hearing.
Maybe I'm not explaining this great. Give me a second.
I think I get it.
I would say it like in the sense of like the people that come and listen to our podcast, like, you know, we're funny, we're light, and we have serious conversations, but also I think this is really what it is. Given the state of the world, I just would like to provide a little bit of levity.
Yeah.
If we can. Yeah. So like ending it with a little levity, I think is nice.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying. Someone left me a DM that kind of like hit me. They told me I was their comfort creator. And they got a lot of comfort from watching my stuff and all of that. And so it just, I don't know, it just kind of reminded me of that. And, you know, like, hey, you don't like it? Cool, great, fine. But I'm just thinking about a handful of people who just maybe needed a little extra laugh or a little extra something. So we, you know, started light and funny. We got into like some pretty heavy stuff and, you know, bringing it back up kind of like with a show, you know, like, you take the crowd through, you know, a journey. And so, you know, the journey could end up on a little kiki. I think that's cool. That's what I mean when I talk about how people feel. Now, if you feel a way about how I'm living my life, that's your business, bitch. Ain't got nothing to do with me. That's what I mean by that. But the people that actively care about us and want to listen to us and consume our content, they can leave with a little, you know, little kiki, little haha at the end. Let's do it.
Yeah, I get it. Listen, that's nice that you consider that. Producer Pilar, not to say that that's what you're doing in particular. I am very comfortable with just leaving people the way I felt. And I would say that is not beneficial to any type of entertainment because I have had, I think I saw a video where it said, well, don't bring your negativity to the audience because the audience comes to you to relax and unwind. And I'm just like, but I'm a human being too. I'm gonna let it all out.
And you can balance. Like that's I'm looking for balance. That's what I'm trying to do here is, you know, we're talking about real stuff in our lives and funny stuff and what's going on, but you know, we can have balance.
We can, or we could just take this car off the cliff, baby. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. All right, well, let me pull up this question that we got. Again, send us questions, voicemail, however y'all want to do them. In the comment section, or actually, hey, if you want to leave questions in the comment section, you could do that too. But we would love the voicemail so we could listen to them and then kind of genuinely connect with y'all. All right, so this one is actually to us, and it's kind of like a relationship thing, even though we're not relationship gurus. We can
guys, like, please understand.
Yeah.
We're like,
there's one about,
in some cases, it might be the blind leading the deaf, okay? like, honestly.
Well, I mean, it was for us, so I'll read it. It says, hey, JD and Pilar, you guys are awesome, and my question is that my friend and I talk sometime, and I tend to call him and text him a lot, and we talk it out or call. So how do I change that, and how can I be a better friend to him? I don't know. It's kind of big.
Mix it up.
Yeah, there's some stuff in there.
My question is that my friend and I talk sometime, and I tend to call him and text him a lot. We talk it out or call. So how do I change that?
I don't know if it makes the most sense.
I'm so sorry.
How can I be a better friend to him is what I'm getting out of it.
Is that my friend and I talk sometimes, and I tend to call him and text him a lot, and we talk it out or call. So how do I change that? Oh, okay. All right. What I feel like I'm getting from this is it sounds like what this person is saying is that they call that friend a lot. And that friend helps them process and work through things. And I feel like what they're asking is how they can kind of turn that tide and be a better friend to them, which to that I would say when you call them or reach out to them, just ask them like, hey, like, how can I hold space for you? What do you want to talk about? And then just hold that space for them and don't talk about yourself. Don't bring up your issues. Don't bring up your stuff. Just be like, hey, if you are in a space, like maybe text them ahead of time. Be like, hey, if like you're in a space, like I'd love to chat with you today and just hear what's going on with you. Like me and my girlfriends do that. Like we'll text each other and like I'll use Tasha, you know, as an example. And I'll just be like, hey, I just wanted to check on you. If you need space held, I won't say a word. I will just listen. And you can just call me if you want to fucking scream on the phone for 4 hours. I don't really give a shit. But if you just need to just get stuff out of your fucking brain, just call me. And they do the same for me. Like Renee just said that to me the other day. She's like, boo, if you need to call me and just fucking like lose your mind, just do it. So I feel like that's what they're saying. So to that, again, I would say is just reach out to that friend and just be like, hey, I want to know what's going on with you. I want to know how I can show up. Like, how can I show up for you as a friend today? And do that.
Yeah, for sure. Unless I'm reading it from the perspective of you and your friend talk sometime and you tend to call him more than he tends to call you. And maybe you're saying like you wish that he called you more, perhaps. I'm not sure if that's how I'm interpreting it. And in that case, maybe meet him where he's at or let him know how you feel about the communication and what's going on between the two of you. And maybe that's a good way to be a better friend to him by telling him how you feel. And if that helps.
Oh, excuse me, that was horrible. So sorry.
You're good. It can't be picked up, so you can just do it off mic. It's just funny. It's just funny.
Do they have manners?
No, you got the burpees. Like it's making me laugh that you got, just, I don't know. Yeah. So if you want to be a good friend to this person, I think maybe having a conversation about how you want to be a better friend could help.
Or ask them how can I show up for you better in our friendship? What can I do to be a better friend to you? What are my blind spots? What am I missing in this relationship?
If that's something that is of their concern as well. I know me, sometimes we're not even aware that you think you're not being a good enough friend, and we are just happy the way that things are. And maybe you don't have to do extra credit. We could just keep things the way that things are going, depending on how you're feeling. I don't know. I would say if you're not on the same page, maybe try to figure out what that page is. What was all that?
Extra credit?
I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of it or make light of it, but genuinely from the perspective of like, oh, I didn't know that you weren't being a good enough friend to me. I thought things were cool. So wait, what's going on? And then trying to figure that out from that point. Because I would say some people are clueless. I get clueless every once in a while. I have my moments where I'm just like, oh, my bad. I wasn't even aware that this was going on. How can I be of assistance? So I was just saying it from the perspective of maybe that person isn't aware of how you feel and you're feeling something from one side that they may or may not know is a positive or negative. So then once you maybe voice it out there, you can figure out how to move forward based off of their response. It's not necessarily extra credit. It's sorry, I made light of the situation. Yeah. All right. There we go. That was a question.
Was there anything else from the comments of our last video?
Oh,
Some of y'all's comments are so funny.
They were nice comments.
They
We
were really
appreciate all the
sweet,
comments
yeah.
that you all sent us. If I can get them up on the screen in front of us right now.
Excuse me. Like yawn.
Yawning.
Mm-hmm.
No biggie.
Stress.
Wait, no, that was the wrong place to go. All right. Hopefully there's
I
not a
can't lie,
video
I'm
playing in the
nervous
background. Oh my goodness,
because
that was
of
so
the dogs.
frustrating.
It's
Hold on.
weird.
I love animals. I had a dog. Yes. Scroll. Yes. Pulling up the last episode. Hope it might start playing, so I'm gonna mute it.
Savage.
Pause it. Okay. I think it was playing for a second. Sorry if you heard that on the what's it called? Let me switch this over. And now we are scrolling. No, I think I accidentally clicked a video. All right, there we go.
Oh, that's the comment that I like. Now this is what we want to see. Ew.
Yeah, these are comments from our last episode.
You guys are so sweet.
Shout out to all of you that we're looking at. Queen in cursive saying, now that's what I want to see. This was absolutely beautiful. This was absolutely beautiful to witness. Thank you for educating your husband, and those in the audience that don't know about ballroom. Also, hats off to your husband for being willing to listen and learn.
Yep.
I try.
You do a good job at that, I will say. You really do.
I do a good job of not cutting you off. I try not to do that because I see that in podcasts all the time and it pisses me off. And I'm just like, yo, why ask a question if you didn't want to hear it? That is crazy. But yeah, I would say I'm a good listener now compared to maybe back in the day, dependent. But I mean, I think I learned that through just like being with you and also therapy.
I don't think it's medically safe for me to be deceased.
Where are we reading? Oh, shout out to Yanis Kalua as well. Darkwing Chuck 5005 says, I don't think it's medically safe for me to be deceased this many times. Oh, under 2 hours. That's great. This was such a fun and informative episode. I knew a tiny bit about the Orisha. Oh yeah, we were talking about the Hoodoo heritage, of course. Thank you, Sonic, man. We're just scrolling through comments right now. Been waiting for that notification. Love talking teaspoons. This is finna be good. Honestly, I was sad that y'all stopped uploading episodes after the pandemic because they were so good. I really appreciated the both of you sharing personal things you discovered in therapy and reflecting on the struggles of your relationship in older episodes because they provided clarity for things that were going on in my life. Thank you. Press Lex. And I know this one is for the girls, but as a straight black man, this was enjoyable for me too. Thank you for continuing. Yeah. I'm glad that we were able to come back and do this because I think
fun.
It's fun and it's nice, and I enjoy spending the time with you once a week or however often we get to chat. And also, I think we always wanted to do it. I'm not outside of the fact that like in my brain I say it's just a lot to produce solo and even together trying to get here and do this.
And my schedule was crazy before, but I mean both of us. But like I was running a fucking multi-million-dollar company by myself, and I was like, I don't want to. I'm tired. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, your schedule was crazy. We moved. We did a bunch of different things, and now we have the time, so we're making it. Again, thank you for all these nice comments, Stephanie Paget. I hope I don't say your name wrong. Lotus Flower Bomb, Onyx Clemens, and everyone else. These are all very nice comments, and I'm glad that you all are glad that we're back. And we'll keep doing it for as long as we enjoy it. Yeah. All right, cool. I don't think
we appreciate you guys. You guys are the best.
Yeah.
Truly, you really are. Your messages mean a lot, especially on anxious, stressy, depressy days that we have. So, we really value the fact that you guys watch our stuff and comment and interact with it. It means a lot. So we appreciate you.
Yes. Shout out to y'all peoples. All right. Well, I think that might be a good place to wrap it up just because we're getting close to 2 hours and I wanted to wrap this at 1 hour. I don't know if we need to do two. I don't think we need to do 1 minute, an hour 30 every time, unless we have something to talk about. But yeah, we did mention, hey, please send us voicemails.
Please.
We would love it.
I love them so much.
That way we could do either an episode on one question or an episode on 3 questions or things like that. Or if there's topics happening in the world after watching this episode, if you want to go leave a comment like, hey, on the next episode, would you mind chatting about this video, or have you seen this video on TikTok? And I don't know if y'all can leave links in our comments. I don't think you can, but you can always message them to us personally on social media platforms or on Discord. I have a Discord. Most of you know where it is, I hope. Discord.com, run JD run. Discord.gg actually. But regardless of that, yeah. So feel free to try to get in touch with us if you have anything that you want to talk about, or if you want our thoughts on a particular subject or something like that. I feel like there's a lot of random things that are happening in the news. There was the Cheesecake Factory list and the Chief Keef Keith Lee in Atlanta. There's a bunch of random stuff. I kind of like our content to be more focused on what we're going through and also communicating with our community instead of just like commenting on like things that are going on in the world. That just kind of feels, I mean, not that it's a problem, more just like it depends on what we want to talk about. But either way, I had a good time. I hope you did too.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that's it. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Oh, wait, hold on. This is what the kids do nowadays. Love you.
I don't know how to do that one. That's the gang sign y'all throwing up. All hearts, homie.
Yeah, because they'll be like this. Love you.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Versus like.
I like the heart.